Kim Folsom. I'm the founder and CEO of Founders First Capital Partners and the founder of Founders First CDC, a small business growth accelerator. I started this 6 years ago to address the gaps in access to growth capital and related resources for underserved and under-resourced founders businesses. We look at what we do as really helping to drive a more inclusive economy. And so we have a pretty wide net of what we describe as the under-resourced and underserved founders that we work with. They're women, people of color, military veterans, folks from the LGBTQ community, and also those in second and third tier cities, because when they go about trying to marshal resources to grow, they have, some overlapping experience, some, more severe than others, but that's really our target.
The business model itself, I know, and actually congratulations, by the way, on the great article in TechCrunch. So that was a nice synopsis of what you're doing out there and what your team is doing. But can you give us some insight? I know your business model is a little bit different from a typical either private equity firm or accelerator in terms of how you operate and how the portfolio companies really are quote unquote paying a fee, if you will, for your great support and services.
Certainly. So, my background coming into my entrepreneurial journey has been from the tech side. I was a tech entrepreneur for some 8-9 years before I launched my first business in the crazy.com era, of which I had founded 6 companies and exited 3. I was fortunate enough to raise over $30 million of venture funding to grow those businesses. But when I looked to my right and left, didn't see a lot of diversity or inclusion with regards to that 20+ year journey. And that was what prompted me to start Founders First. On the one side is to be able to leverage my expertise to help more diverse founders get access to growth capital, but leverage some of the great ecosystem building, practices and solutions that you have in the tech community. I mean, because I watched over 20+ years that go from, little to none to, a whole bastion of, solution providers and services and capital to help grow tech businesses. Most businesses that are led by diverse founders, or actually just most businesses that are started, are not tech businesses. Most of them are service businesses or light manufacturing businesses that don't provide the same growth prospects of tech businesses. And as a result, most of them are kind of relegated to one or very few types of capital for growth. And if you don't happen to meet those criteria for this, 1 or 2 types of capital, you're kind of stuck out of the market. And so we designed Founders First to address that issue. As opposed to using equity capital, we consider what we do is to use more of a hybrid, between traditional debt, which is, amortized fixed payments for a certain period of time that you are largely pledging your personal, capital and resources to get access to, and then pay it back over a fixed period of time. We focus on the prospects of the business. So, as an entrepreneur, you're really putting your own personal, financial profile to bear to help you grow your business. And like many of us business owners that don't have a great personal financial credit profile, it means that you don't get access to capital, and if you don't happen to have, your own personal like real estate assets to pledge, you have even lesser access to capital to help you grow. Well, our model, in addition to the accelerator side, we provide access to growth capital based on the actual company's revenue and the stability of their revenue. So, we know that as an entrepreneur, you're going to have, challenges with your personal credit profile. So we're not looking at your personal credit profile. But if you have, contracted sticky revenue and you've built that business, and for you to go from be it, 5 to 10 people to, 10 to 20 plus people, we want to provide you with that capital and not penalize you because you don't have the best credit profile or credit score. It's so we consider it a hybrid between equity and debt,
Yeah, well, obviously being on the executive search side with us, we love hearing about companies like yours that are innovating, that are really disrupting a market, even a market as steadfast and as stoic, if you will, as private equity and M&A advisory. But you've found a new way to do things and to focus on a particular segment of the population that is largely underserved for no reason other than just lack of availability and exposure out there in a lot of cases. So I commend you on that innovation. That's fantastic.
Well,
I'm curious, what I was reading an article today talking about the number of new companies that were started last year. It's up by about 55%, last year, 2021 versus 2019, which is substantial. It's obviously a very high increase. Are you seeing that same trend play out in the more diverse communities and the underserved minority communities in terms of folks starting new businesses?
oh yeah. In fact, I feel like maybe I prompted you to ask that question because it's been a trend for the last 5 years or more that businesses led by diverse founders are growing at 3 to 5 times the rate of businesses led by majority led white male led businesses.
Mhm.
For a variety of reasons, be it more flexibility, because generally women and underrepresented founders are not just having to go through and support themselves. They're generally in the sandwich type of situation. Either they're
Right.
supporting their children as well as their elderly family members or other distant family members. So having to go through that piece is really critical, and having more flexibility. The other is the whole salary, inequity issue. Is that this is launching and growing a business. Once you get to a certain size, you have a much more upside and opportunity for growth of your business and increasing your wealth, opportunity than you do many times working for others. So that's one of the other drivers. And with this pandemic, there's some industries that are harder hit, and so people are looking at what my lifestyle still
Mhm.
continues regardless if I'm working for one company or not. And so those are some of the recent reasons. But I think there's an article that I just read that for every day 760 women of color are starting a new business
Oh, wow.
every day. So it's just
That's
massive.
incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and hopefully that will increase and accelerate even further as we get into 2022 and beyond, and things improve also. I mean, I'm very fortunate that my full team, we have a team of women, very strong, independent women that are entrepreneurial as well, that wanted to work for an organization, but not have to sit up and go to an office every day in a formal setting, right? That had the flexibility, myself as well. When I started this company, 15 years ago, I also wanted that same flexibility to be with my kids when they were younger. And my wife is a full-time therapist. So, we're trying to juggle those things. But I'm curious, from your perspective going forward, do you think that there is some progress being made, I guess is the first question. And then most importantly, what can we all do to help with that progress? How can we as business owners, white or otherwise, a minority or otherwise, how can we help to expand the diversity, if you will, of our businesses?
Certainly. So I would say, in my journey, my 25-year entrepreneurial journey, has there been progress made? Most definitely. But in comparison to the number, it's very small.
Mhm.
We worked over this last 6 years with over 500 companies. The vast majority of those businesses, I want to say some 70% of them are women or women of color owned businesses.
Yeah.
And those businesses have grown fantastically. I mean, anywhere from 25 to 50%, year over year growth. But the challenge is, because they don't have access to resources, their starting revenue is generally lower than their
Mhm.
male counterparts. So one of the things we've seen is these women have done their best to, make improvements in their companies. Many times they've grown almost twice the rate of their male counterparts, but because they start smaller, because they had less resources. And also I want to share that those less resources are not always capital.
Right.
Sometimes
That's a
it
very good point.
is, access to expertise, partnerships, other resources to help them grow. So, to your second question about what can be done, there's such a great opportunity for allyship that can happen. with companies and being open to doing the partnering and be it mentoring, being an ally to these businesses. I mean, that can go a long way. I mean, I tell you, that is so important, because you'd be amazed at all the many things that we've done as business owners, as success, that you can help so many people that are behind you trying to get to where you are, by saying, gosh, if I could do it over again, these are the three things that I would do differently. And being able to maybe make a point of either connecting with somebody weekly, monthly, quarterly, and say, you know what, I'm interested in helping where there's some similar synergies, either somebody wanting to run another service-based business, like manufacturing, something of that sort, with those. The other, so that's one significant opportunity, is sharing that expertise and knowledge about business sustainability and success. The other is, once you get to know these companies and asking them where they want to go and grow, be open to helping with an introduction, and providing constructive feedback as well, about gosh, you've got a really great opportunity, but if you did these one or two things, you could even get to that next level. And so those are very light lift things that folks can do, especially successful entrepreneurs like us can do, that make a tremendous difference to these business owners coming right behind us. We've done as business owners a success, that you can help so many people that are behind you trying to get to where you are, by saying, gosh, if I could do it over again, these are the three things that I would do differently. And being able to maybe make a point of either connecting with somebody weekly, monthly, quarterly, and say, you know what, I'm interested in helping where there's some similar synergies, either somebody wanting to run another service-based business, like manufacturing, something of that sort, with those. The other, so that's one significant opportunity, is sharing that expertise and knowledge about business sustainability and success.
And expanding that whole ecosystem too, to your point, having access to other allies and partners and advisors, and the whole ecosystem that is not available to everybody. That's a really good point you bring up.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a one. The other is, once you get to know these companies and asking them where they want to go and grow, be open to helping with an introduction, and providing constructive feedback as well, about gosh, you've got a really great opportunity, but if you did these one or two things, you could even get to that next level. And so those are very light lift things that folks can do, especially successful entrepreneurs like us can do, that make a tremendous difference to these business owners coming right behind us.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think also, as you said before, being an ally is such a huge positive impact. And then sharing those success stories. I think a lot of times also we may be doing things behind the scenes, but either because we're afraid it's going to come across as being disingenuous or what have you, we feel like we really shouldn't put it out there. But the reality is, the more that we share, the more that we normalize it, the more that we make it known that this is what's happening on a proactive, very kind of a forward-thinking basis, that's just going to help to kind of propagate that and keep it going and expand it even further as well. So as they say, action breeds more action.
Right.
So if we can find ways to showcase that and put it out there, then it's only going to help matters.
Going through and saying, you know what, I'm going to commit to connecting, it may be with a handful of small businesses, and saying, if you could ask one question, where what you're going to do is being open to asking that question, and going through and doing that. It's that level of follow through would make such a tremendous impact. When I think about the companies that we work with at Founders First, I have the fortunate opportunity, every single company that comes through our program, I get a chance to talk to and do a coaching session with. And just being able to go through and share with them the many mistakes that I made with my 7 businesses, and if I had to do it over again, what I wouldn't do, it can help these.
Yeah. And I think there's certainly even more pressure on women of color or folks of color in general to try to do things the right way. And they probably feel even more pressure than other parts of the population in terms of not making mistakes. And they feel like, I have this one opportunity. It's going to be hard to make this work. I got to do it right. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what your background is, where you're from, male, female, or anything else. It's everybody makes mistakes. To your point, you and I have both made probably more mistakes over the last 20 plus years of doing this than we have done things right. But the key is, do you learn from those mistakes, and do you take the time to really maximize and optimize the things that you do well, and adjust things down the road so that you don't make the same mistakes more than once.
Exactly. That's it. It's got to take those things as learning opportunities and ask yourself, what can I do to make certain that this won't happen again? But it's that element, and having people understand that, we all make mistakes, and don't let it beat yourself up. Like I saw one of the really great quotes from Colin Powell, as part of, he had these 13 things. And it's like, if you're going to beat yourself up, give yourself, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to do it, and then I'm going to move on,
right.
But not
limit the time.
Exactly. But not dwell on it as, this is just the way things are forever.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's a great motto to live by, for sure.
Right.
Well, thank you, Kim. This has been very helpful. We're very, very excited to have you speak to our Sales and Marketing Leadership Alliance coming up on the 13th of January. It's going to be an even more in-depth conversation with very similar topics. So thanks for being there next week, but also for being here today to share these insights with us. Thank you very much. Well,
thank you so much for the opportunity to work with you. I'm excited about our collaboration next week, as well as through the year, and this is how we are able to help so many other businesses. So thanks again, and I wish you and everyone who's listening a happy and prosperous new year.
Yes, thank you. You too. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.